أجله واعلموا أن الله يعلم ما في أنفسكم فاحذروه واعلموا أن الله غفور حليم لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين وإن طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة فنصف ما فرضتم إلا أن يعفون أو يعفو الذي بيده عقدة النكاح وأن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم إن الله بما تعملون بصير صدق الله العظيم. Verse 234 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the iddah of the ahkam of iddatul wafah. As we mentioned previously, the iddah are of two types. One is the iddah of talaq, the waiting period the lady sits in after she's divorced, and the other is iddatul wafah meaning after passing away. So iddatul talaq was mentioned, it was discussed in the previous ayat that for 3 menstrual cycles the lady waits. Now from here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or in this ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the waiting period. How long is it for that lady whose husband passes away? How long is that iddah for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ, those amongst you who pass away, وَيَذَرُونَ أَزْوَاجًا, and they leave behind their spouses, their wives, يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ وَعَشْرًا, that they will wait for 4 months and 10 days. Whenever months or days are said in Quran, Sunnah, then we use the Islamic calendar. So 4 months and 10 days using the Islamic calendar. يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ وَعَشْرًا فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنْ, once they reach their time, يعني it has elapsed, the iddah period has elapsed, فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا فَعَلْنَ فِي أَنفُسِهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, that there is no blame upon you, or there is no watch upon you, that you cannot stop them from getting remarried. That once the iddah period has passed, then this marks the permissibility for them to get married again. Wallahu bima ta'amaluna khabir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most knowing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing regarding what you do. One hukum, one command, one law, masala regarding the iddatul wafah is very important. That many people ask that a lady whose husband has passed away, now that means that usually, especially in our culture, that a source of income is no longer there. So would it be permissible for them to work in this situation? The fatwa and the hukum that we give is that yes, it is permissible that the lady can go during the morning hours, and if she's working obviously within with hijab, etc., all of that in its place. But in itself, yes, can they work? Yes, they can, and they can earn an income for themselves and for their children during this period, during this time. The next ayah, Surah 235 of Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي مَا عَرَّضْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْ خِطْبَةِ النِّسَاءِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that now during the iddah period, it is impermissible for a woman to get married during the iddah period. Is it permissible for someone, maybe a mutual friend or some relative, etc., or even the person who wants to get married? Meaning there's another man who's also looking for a spouse, and he knows that this lady, she is also saying in iddah, after some time she'll probably need to get married. Is it okay for them to have this in their mind, think about it, they can perhaps, possibly, potentially can get married to this lady, and maybe even make some indications towards that? So the Quran Kareem says, لا جناح عليكم فيما عرضتم به, that if you allude towards nikah, this is permissible. It is permissible to allude towards nikah even during the iddah period. What is impermissible is وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ, that you cannot promise and you cannot affirm that you will get married to so and so during the iddah period. And obviously contracting the marriage is obviously impermissible during that time. So the ayah says, لا جناح عليكم, there is no sin and there is no blame, فيما عرضتم به, for those for alluding towards nikah, من خطبة النساء, أو أكننتم في أنفسكم, or that you hide it in your hearts. علم الله أنكم ستذكرونهن ولكن لا تواعدوهن سرا. Do not promise them secretly that after your iddah will terminate, then I'd like to get married, and then I will get married to you, and they promise this. These type of things are impermissible. إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا. An example of how a person could allude towards it is that he can say, or a mutual partner can say that, hey, I know someone, a mutual friend can say that I know so and so, they're also, you know, looking to get married, and then you just keep it at that. Not to say that, will you get married to him, etc. إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا ولا تعزموا عقدة النكاح. Do not affirm getting married حتى يبلغ الكتاب أجله, until the iddah terminates. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوا. Know that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in your hearts. فَاحْذَرُوا, so be aware of that. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ, and know that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most forgiving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most forbearing. لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء, verse 236 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that there is no blame upon you that if you divorce your wives, مَا لَمْ تَمَسُّوهُنْ أَوْ تَفْرِضُوا لَهُنَّ فَرِيضَةً, that after, yani in itself, and if the situation calls for giving divorce, as we said before, then it is permissible and a person can give divorce. However, there are few situations regarding the mahar, the dower that has been given. There are some details regarding what will happen to the dowry if a person is to divorce his wife. So the first situation is what is the ayah 236 of Surah Al-Baqarah is discussing. That the first situation is that a person gets married to a woman without stipulating how much the mahar and how much the dowry would be. So they get married without stipulating how much the amount is. This is permissible, but obviously mahar becomes necessary. Even if a person, hypothetically, if a lady is to say that, you know, I'll get married to you, and even before the marriage I drop off my mahar, I drop off any dowry, that you don't have to give me any mahar. Once they get married, it will be necessary that he will have to give mahar. Mahar becomes necessary, obligatory by means of nikah. The means of dowry becoming obligatory is the nikah. After the nikah, if now she wants to drop it off, then she has all the prerogative and all the rights. After the nikah has been concluded, after the institution of nikah, now she says, okay, maybe we agreed on too much mahar, I'll drop it off, or I'll drop off a certain portion of it. This is permissible. But does she have the haqq? Meaning when a right is not established, it cannot be dropped off. This is a bit of a fiqh discussion, principle in fiqh, that if something hasn't been established, then it cannot be dropped off. So when does mahar, when does dawr, when is that established, the haqq of that, the right of that? Only by means of the nikah. Only then does it become necessary, and does that haqq, does that right does that right materialize? Once it materializes, then you can do, and then you can drop off the haqq. So similarly, as we said, that if a woman is to say, for example, that, you know, I'd like that we'll get married, and she says that, and I'm even dropping off my haqq of dawr, of mahar, then that will not drop off. So the first situation is that a person gets married to a lady without stipulating what the nikah is. They're not dropping off; they just haven't stipulated what the nikah, what the amount is. Now, before they have any intimacy, he divorces her. This is the first situation, that before that they have not stipulated, so two things. They have not stipulated how much the mahar is, the dowry is, and they are not intimate. They haven't consummated the nikah. So in this situation, if he gives talaq, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the hukum, وَمَتِّعُوهُنْ, that a mut'ah will be given. Mut'ah means a certain gift that should be given. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu's athar hadith is that this gift cannot be any lesser than a full set of garments. So meaning obviously an upper garment, a lower garment, and a headscarf. وَمَتِّعُوهُنْ عَلَى الْمُوسِعِ قَدَرُهُ وَعَلَى الْمُقْتِرِ قَدَرُهُ. How expensive, what value should be of these garments? عَلَى الْمُوسِعِ قَدَرُهُ وَعَلَى الْمُقْتِرِ قَدَرُهُ. However much a person can afford. And each person, depending on their situation. A person who is affluent will have to give clothing which befits that amount. Person who is a pauper and he's poor, he'll have to give what befits that amount. متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. That a good provision should be given. حقا على المحسنين. That this is a right upon those who are muhsin, those that bring ihsan into their lives. This is also important that, as we said previously, that Islam demands ihsan in everything. So over here in the situation of talaq, still the Quran Kareem is saying that you still have to give a certain gift. So there is no, if you want to say in colloquial terms, there's no bad blood at the end. That yes, maybe things didn't work out between us, but as a haqq that you have upon me, or as my humanness demands of me, then I am giving this to you. حقا على المحسنين. وإن طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة. Second situation would be that if a person gives divorce after they had stipulated a certain amount. So for example, a husband and wife, they stipulated that mahar will be $1,000, for example. Now he gives divorce before intimacy again, before consummation of the nikah, of the marriage. Now what would be the mahar that has to be given? Half of whatever was stipulated. فَنِصْفُ مَا فَرَضْتُمْ. Nisf means half of whatever has been stipulated. إِلَّا أَن يَعْفُونَ أَوْ يَعْفُوَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ عُقْدَةُ النِّكَاحِ. Yes, إِلَّا أَن يَعْفُونَ, except if any of the parties want to forgive. إِلَّا أَن يَعْفُونَ, maybe the lady says that no, I don't want even half of it. It's okay, you don't have to give it to me. Or if the man had already given all the mahar, if he wants, he can say, you can keep the entire mahar, you don't need to give it back. وَأَن تَعْفُوا أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Whoever forgives or overlooks it and says that you can keep it, or she said either from the man's side or from the husband's from the wife's side, either way, أن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى. This is better. That person has this in him, that they're not demanding all the time, right? And so ulama always give this advice that when a person goes into nikah or in any relationship, a person should keep what in mind? That how can I be fulfilling the other person's haqq? How can I fulfill someone's right? Now, how can I demand my right? And if both parties go in with this, that how can I demand my right? Then there will be problems. But if both go in with this, how can I fulfill the other one's rights? Then there won't be any problem, and each will get their rights. At the end, you'll get your right. Why? Because the other spouse, the other partner is also looking for that, and you'll be giving the other person the right. So there's no fight, there's no fitna, there's no corruption, and each of them are getting their haqq and right at the end of the day. وَلَا تَنْسَوْا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Do not forget the benevolence amongst yourselves, how you should be with one another, that to be benevolent. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most watching over what you do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to make amal upon whatever good is.